interestingly, I just wanted to, and it's going to be super motivational for the cohort. We want to learn your story. How did you essentially, after being a econ grad, kind of go to start your startup? And what were your learnings? Probably at that point, you saw a lot of failures. How did you motivate yourself at that juncture? So a story of Alex behind the scenes would be lovely for everyone to hear.
Sure. Alex behind the scenes. Well, first of all, I didn't really do much at college. Berkeley is a great university, but you got to take advantage of it in order for it to be a good university. And I was mainly, thinking of side businesses and like other fun things and like playing video games, to be perfectly honest with you. And I did not take advantage of it. So I liked economics, but like I never really did anything with it. So the reason I'm saying this is that if folks are out there thinking that they need computer science or like, oh, they didn't do much in college or they didn't pick up whatever skills, don't worry about that too much. If you like product management, if you like business, you can get there. You can get there from anywhere. I did an offline business, a number of offline businesses. I was doing construction for a while there, and built up a good business that taught me, I think, foundations of like sales and marketing, and eventually I kind of always started. And I was lucky to be raised in the San Francisco Bay Area, so it's always tech scene is always kind of a part of the background here, and eventually just my passion towards gaming led me to mobile gaming, and I got to experience a lot of the growth in that business. And again, through a series of, I think, the entrepreneurial skill sets and luck, was in the right place at the right time. Don't underestimate how important that is. And of course, you get luckier the more you show up, right? That's true for sure. But I've been super lucky, and I find that a lot of successful people have been lucky, and that's totally fine. You just keep on trying every day, and then you get another chance for luck. But eventually, I got a chance to build teams and build visions for some big projects, and bigger and bigger and bigger, and manage bigger budgets and learn more about the mobile ecosystem and the tech landscape. And when I was looking for kind of a next challenge after the gaming phase, I looked at a bunch of places. I looked at some more like bigger gaming companies that I wanted to explore, and I also looked at Google because foolishly I thought that I could go to Google and make a difference of some kind, like change Google Play, make it into something that I thought could be a big platform for games. And it just happened that they had an opening on Google Play, and my experience was very relevant. And I also, all of my background in business and sales and in marketing also happened to be useful. So I wasn't doing product management that whole time, but when I put the resume together, the story that it told was of a very like multifaceted, self-starting product manager that ended up running businesses, building teams, shipping products. And so all of that together got me the interview. And at the interview, I studied very hard and I prepared for it. And I read all the books and I did all the stuff. And now I, run a channel on YouTube about this and teach people and coach people on this. So, but you basically have no chance if you don't prepare for it, because the interviews are its own specific thing. And so once I got through the interviews and I performed well there, I got an offer. And from there, lots of challenges and fun and terrible things at Google. But the point of the story is that you kind of put together a set of experiences that hopefully you're excited and passionate about. And from there, building blocks are business, getting things done yourself, technology, if possible, and just showing up and trying, and also allowing yourself to try for these things. For instance, many people told me, like, you're never going to get into Google just because they have a tiny acceptance rate. So if you look at the numbers, like, well, sure, the numbers, am I going to get into Google? But lo and behold, apparently you can. So that's the story.
While you're kind of talking about it, one thing that that is coming like pretty clear is that you spoke about the propensity of luck in life. I think you're being super modest and super humble about it. It's probably not that, but if I had to ask you this interesting question, that if you had to redo something, if you have to go back like 10 years, right, and still think about it, and there's a second question, follow-up question, which is going to be even more interesting, is that for most people, I think, at least in India, at least I know, financial security is something that people tend to stay at companies where they don't learn a lot.
Yeah.
But because they are sheerly dependent on their financial, the economics works like that, that they have to continue in a company where the culture is not great, probably they're not learning much, right? How come a
Mm.
person who was at a senior role in Google, probably building great products over there, how did you make that choice that I want to leave Google now and kind of focus on my passion of teaching, mentoring people? Because it's a hard choice. It's not an easy choice
Y-
to make, right?
Yes,
So the first question,
that's for sure.
if you had to do something different, if Alex goes back 10 years and if he has to replan his life, how would you think about it? That's one. And
Oh man.
the second question is that in spite of having the best place over there, probably the best kind of experiences, you still made a choice to leave Google and pursue this full time, right? How did you make that choice? Yeah.
Well, so to answer your first question, or maybe the second question, well, in either case, like, I think that, like, rethinking my entire life, generally I have very few regrets, if any. So you learn obviously a lot from failures, as you all know. But I would probably personally leave Google sooner because I was not having a very good time at Google. And that is just because it's a gigantic company. There's a lot of bureaucracy, things move slowly. There's a lot of positive things about Google. I don't need to tell you all about it because you all love Google and you know Google. But it also it can be extremely frustrating, especially for people that are used to and are excited about building stuff and just come from a business background. So it can be frustrating. It was for me. And I've been teaching and helping people with product management and careers and all this stuff for like almost 4 years now, basically since 2020, like, no, end of 2019. And I like it a lot. I like to impact people. I think you and I kind of talked about this, that this is it's very rewarding for us. We also learn through teaching, so I probably got way better at, I think, the craft and career in general just by teaching the material. And I recommend you all teach the things that you learn to somebody else, in this cohort or beyond, where you're gonna notice things a little bit differently. So yeah, so that's personally for me. Like, I want to go back to doing my own business. It was a little bit stifling for me to actually not be responsible for my own destiny, no matter how comfortable the position was. And it probably was one of the best positions that you could have. I totally appreciate how difficult financial security is sometimes, and a lot of times for most folks on the planet. So it's tough. But people at these big companies, they have, in a way, these like golden handcuffs where you can't leave because there's too much compensation at stake. So it can be difficult. It's funny, of course. We don't think of these as real problems, of course, because I'd like to have such problems, But in reality, everybody understands kind of when they're in a particular situation. So depending on where you are in life, I absolutely say it's okay to hold on to a particular job for the compensation and for the reality of like providing a steady income. The only thing I would encourage you to do is, if you can, at least this was important for me, is having some sort of a growth opportunity, like something down the line that you could at least aspire to. The painful thing for me is when you've got this great job, everything's great, but there's no future. It doesn't lead to the next anything. Like you said, you're not learning anything. So, as clearly folks from this cohort understand, you just have to do it on the side. You try to find a way to work smarter, so you're getting more done in fewer hours. When you really think about it, you really don't need to be working such long hours. If you work smart and you really set your priorities correctly, like, you should be doing that anyway for your career purposes. And once you do that, you can start to build things on the side. So I saw folks that are like coming into product management from different places, software engineer, banking, IT consulting. The hardest thing there to get into product management is, where do you get the experience of building products? So if you can't get it at your job, find a way to get like a side gig at your job. You got to do things on the side. You got to help a startup, help a buddy, put some service together, build your own consulting services. Heck, build your own solution to any tiny small problem that you find. If you can get one customer that's not paying but giving you a testimonial, that's a great place to start. Now you're doing product work. So I recommend a lot of times my clients is, it's hard to get into that first product role, so you have to build your own product role. Don't feel like too constrained about oh, I can't get a job product because they all require product experience. You got to build your own product experience. And if you've got a job right now that's stable, you feel good about, just do it in less time. Find yourself some time in the evenings, on the weekend, like what we're doing right now, and try to build some stuff. And honestly, I think people overthink it. You just make a list of the problems that you have and people that you know have, because you've got friends and family. And yeah, you're gonna get people are gonna be like, "What are you doing? This is not gonna lead anywhere." They're always gonna do that. Like that's the reality, and chances are nothing's gonna come of it. But you can put it on your resume as a even if it's a failed business, because in Silicon Valley, like if people couldn't put their failed businesses on their resumes, they wouldn't have anything to put on their resumes. So just remember that.